Hello, good afternoon. Crikey, that was good timing on my part. You have to press the go live button about 3 seconds before and kind of time it. And that literally was 12 o'clock, bang on, according to my iPhone. I'm Neil Road and Ego Trip Long, and we are live on the Midday show. Neil in for Russ today. He's off at one of his celebrancy conventions for the next couple of days, and we wish him well with that. And he will be. Can you imagine how good Russ is at doing that? Absolute consummate professional performer. Me, however, I'm in the back of a car with a couple of mates, and we're going on a boys' holiday. Let's have some noise lights. See, boys' holidays aren't quite what they used to be, really, are they? Yeah.
Nice night out.
Beer, booze, booze. Anyway, so that's how we're rolling today. But a very good morning to you. That's not morning. It's the midday show. Very good afternoon. So describing our road trip, it's kind of like last of the summer wine with iPhones. Man, if you can imagine that, that pretty much sums it up. But producer Ken, Mr. E, is here, and my cousin David is driving the car, and we're actually live on the radio at the same time, which is kind of cool. So welcome to the show. I'm on my phone, so I might have to sort of flip backwards and forwards to see comments because it operates slightly differently. But we'll just, as usual, do a couple of hellos and welcome you to the show, welcome you to the fold for another week of the Midday show. Liz, by the way, my esteemed friend and radio girl Liz, is going to be presenting the show on Wednesday, and Russ and Co are back on Friday. But you got me live from the back of a car, and you can see the unfolding of the holiday as we go along. We will arrive at our destination sometime while we're live on this show. We will hope the internet stays in place live while we're on this show. You will see where we're going, and you'll see the boys probably have a bit of a lie down because they don't want to do too much and other things all on this show. But I want to get our guest on. He's waiting in the wings, and I do want to get him in. I've got loads of good stuff to ask him, and we're going to touch on every angle here. So I am welcoming Nicholas Daines to the studio, and if I push that, you should be there. Hello, good afternoon,
sir. Good afternoon to you.
It's really good to have you live on the show. Apologies for the slightly unorthodox method of presenting here.
That's all right. I'm used to working on the fly, so that's fine by me.
Thank you so much. Thank you for understanding. You've done so much. I've looked at your website, and I think, goodness me, this man at his tender years has got so many stories to tell. I mean, stuntman, Hollywood, science, wine, gymnast.
Absolutely.
How did it all start for you? Tell us about the Hollywood dream. Now with the internet's jumped out. Tell us about the Hollywood dream first of all.
Okay,
that's fascinating.
Well, I was an international gymnast representing Team GB in British gymnastics. I was always used to jumping off things and falling off things. That when I got into the entertainment business, stunts was a natural progression for me. And I always aspired to Hollywood. You know, even when I was at school, I remember my earliest memories were of Dallas and Dynasty and the glitz and glamour of America and Hollywood, not the nitty-gritty, mundane EastEnders, drab, mundane life. You know, I was always the sort of big houses, fast cars that I really aspired to. So when I got into the business, I always wanted to work in Hollywood. And I used the gymnastics as a vehicle with all the accolades we got from that, and then being part of the British team. And then in this country, being on all the big movies and on commercials, gained a body of work, which then goes before a board in the States to say whether you are, you're at the top of your field, the pinnacle of your career. And then I got my green card and I was able to work in Hollywood. But it was always a dream. And it's amazing how, that if you push long and hard enough and are persistent, you're going to get there. I mean, there were times I didn't think I would, injury, etc.
I'm going to ask you for your success tips. I'm going to ask you to break it down because reading your website, I mean, it's almost the cliche, a wonderful cliche, but still a cliche. Move to Hollywood with nothing but a suitcase to follow a dream. But is it brutal out there? And what is the difference that makes the difference? Because that is a big dream, and I was drawn into it as well, because watching the same TV shows as you. Yes, glitz, glamour, fast cars. Is it really like that, or is it once you get there, reality hits home a bit more? And then what makes the difference? How do you keep going when it doesn't pan out as you think it should immediately, kind of thing? Because that must have happened.
Yes, definitely. It is one of those cases of be careful what you wish for. You might just get it, because you actually go there and you expect your career to just take off on this massive trajectory, you know, that takes you to the dizzy heights that you thought in your head. And it doesn't always pan out like that. And it didn't pan out like that. You know, I had a few contacts. It looked like it was promising from the start, but then, you know, it soon didn't. And you know, that is the reality of the situation. And you basically, you have to be incredibly resilient, but also you just have to constantly reinvent yourself, and you can't take anything too hard to heart, or be emotional about it. You just got to get on and do it. But it is a really tough town. I mean, it's all about the industry. So if you're not working, then you just feel like the biggest failure and a complete loser. And I while I was there, when I first moved there, you know, people had killed themselves, and all that. So you can imagine the immense pressure. And even myself, I put a huge amount of pressure on myself, because I was like, okay, but this is it. I've got to succeed. But it just didn't happen that way. And you know, I made myself ill at times by just the sheer pressure of it. So
talk about mental health an awful lot on this show. Yeah, originally the show was set up for, you know, men to discuss mental health openly, so I certainly will be touching on that. And yeah, so the working yourself to the bone thing because you think you should succeed, not the way to do it. But I look at your website now, and what you have done, what you are doing, and it's impressive. It's really, really impressive. So it does seem the dream has come true, and they do, but not in the orthodox way. And what's the difference that makes the difference? Working yourself to the bone and burning out is not it. We've talked about that loads on this show. So what is it? What did you do that? Determination, break that down. I don't know. What's
yes, definitely.
What's the main thing that made the difference for you between, say, I'm giving up, this is too hard, and carrying that?
Okay, well, it was definitely persistence and determination.
Sorry about that, the internet jumped out for a moment. Just want to ask the good questions as well.
Yeah, no, I got the gist of it. And it's basically, yes, persistence, and also not being too hard.
Sorry about that.
Can you hear me now?
Can you drop me at the pub? I'll have to hack into their Wi-Fi for a bit. I'll walk down. You don't have to wait for me. We're just waiting. I'm saying to him, what was that determination? Because me, I would probably, you know.
I'm not sure if anyone can hear me.
I will see. Nick, I'm so sorry about that. The internet it's
okay. I'm still here.
And I was just asking the good questions. So that maybe that's kind of a real life example. When the show didn't pan out as I expected it to, we carried on. The reason why I'm asking this, I've recently read Paul McKenna's new book, and he's broken down these success principles, but not success in the sense where you have to kind of lose your soul to get it, kind of thing. Should we call them intelligent success principles? And you're really touching on that with what you said. What made the difference? What made you keep going?
Just a persistence and dedication, but also just the fact that you're following your heart, you're following your dreams, and you're being true to yourself. So you know what it is that makes you tick. You know what your inner self and that inner voice that you really can't help hear every day, but you've got to listen to it. It's your gut instinct. It's what's telling you to just keep moving forward. But maybe it never does happen in the way you imagine it. But you've got to give yourself a pat on the back and not be too hard on yourself for the things that you do actually try and you actually do achieve. So it's more by stealth and little steps and never giving up. And even when you think it's it's finished, it's over. It isn't, it ain't over till it's over, and you just have to keep pushing for what you really truly believe. And I think it's staying true to who you are and what you want. If you see it in your mind's eye and it's what you really desire, but also it makes sense to you, and that's what keeps you going, and you think of ways that are within your remit and what skills you have to try and reinvent yourself, take yourself down another avenue to explore, which might just give you another piece of, it might just give it a little piece of the puzzle, and eventually, it all does somehow work out. And I am a firm believer in fate and destiny and things like that. And I think I've lost you again.
Hello, Nicholas. I'm sorry about that. We're approaching a very good internet
I don't know how much
spot
you
in
heard.
about 5 minutes' time. Can you hear me okay?
I can, but I don't know how much you heard. I don't know how much the viewers hear.
The show. So, thanks for being good about this. Can you hear me okay?
I can, yeah. Well, it's very patchy.
Uh, we got as far as I got up to the point where the determination pushing forward. But
I can't hear you. How does this go out anywhere like this? This is bizarre.
Hello there, we're live again. I'm so sorry about that. Really, really sorry. If you still happen to be there, oh goodness me, he's still there. Hello, Nicholas. I'm so sorry about that.
That's all right. It's quite bizarre. I've never.
Very, very bizarre. Hard as it is to believe. I do this professionally, which is probably hard for you to believe at the moment. Thank you for being so patient. What I would like to do, if you have the time, I do the Wednesday show by myself, and I'd like to have you on a Wednesday where we can talk for a whole hour properly with Wi-Fi. But we got to the point of determination and following the dream and all that sort of stuff. You had a lot of success early in life as a gymnast, and that led into wanting to be a stuntman. Do you like a thrill? Is it taste of danger? How did the stuntman thing come about? And how much of it do you do now?
Well, I'm full-time stuntman doing all the big movies, Mission Impossible, Batman, Harry Potter's, you name it. But the stunt thing came about really not for any thrill-seeking, adrenaline, junkie type stuff, just because it's just what I do. I mean, I was a gymnast. I was an international gymnast, and we have great spatial awareness, knowing where you are in time and space. And so again, as I was talking about, just success, being true to yourself and doing what you do and what's inside you and being true to yourself. That's very much the case. You know, I'm physical. I've got good spatial awareness, and I don't do the job just for the thrill of it. I do it because it is what I do. It's who I am. It's what I'm about. And I think that's, you know, it comes hand in hand with what you said earlier, what we were talking about earlier, which creates the success eventually.
Yes, indeed. And I think that is the key, isn't it? And obviously, being a gymnast would lead very nicely onto that. I mean, if you can do the moves that we would think of a gymnast typically doing, that would lend itself very well to, you know, being a stunt person.
Yeah, it's a great core to draw upon for the things that you are going to need as a stuntman or stunt performer.
Tell us about, you're very sciencey as well. Tell us about your work with nature. And I'm going to ask the question, what can we do for the planet? This is what I'm leading up to, because most people, yes, we know the planet's in trouble. You know, no shit, Sherlock. But me would say, wait a minute, though, it's so insurmountable. But that can't be true. There must be little things that we can do to preserve and conserve. And tell us about that, your love of science and nature and all this.
Well, I have my background in science and nature. My degree was in microbiology, and I started to go down the research and development route before I really concentrated on the stunts, but I just knew that looking down the end of a microscope was not for me. And then that evolved. I got myself an agent, a wildlife agent, and then I was presenting projects for an orangutan charity out in Borneo, and it just grew and grew. I've always had, like I say, a natural passion for wildlife and the natural world, but that now I want to take it to a much bigger platform. And it's what you're saying, actually, what can we all do to help? Well, it's all about awareness, and the fact that, you know, even myself, who's trained in that area, knows about those things, it has been a growth for myself, and just to become aware. And once you are aware, then you want to learn. Once you learn, then you start to care. And if we can, it's really a journey. And what we all need to do is make it not just little groups problems where they ask for your money and then you shove the money that way, and they say, stay there, you know, we'll deal with it, we'll just do it. Because I don't think that's the answer at all. I think everybody has to get involved. Conservation has to be everybody's problem, and not just, you know, thinking that if you give your money somewhere and you don't even know what species are in crisis or what they look like, then how is that ever going to help? So that's really led on to my passion for really educating the next generation, raising awareness, giving them the tools that they will need. Because if they can't tell the difference between a leopard and a cheetah, then what is the point? They can't save them if they don't know what problems they're facing on the ground and all the other complexities that go with it. So really, I feel like we are very much neglecting those fundamental points, and we really need to concentrate on the next generation and really giving them the tools that they will need so they can take the helm and hopefully clear up the mess we've made. So I've created a TV show that I've been working on, and I'm hopefully going to be able to take that to a much bigger platform called Destination Conservation. And it's getting the kids involved with wildlife and endangered species, and really addressing those issues of giving them the tools that they're going to need.
How many species are endangered, would you say?
Oh my goodness. Well, we've lost 160 species in the last 10 years. So, it really is a matter of urgency, and, and a number of what's in danger. Oh, gosh, it's huge.
It's a lack. I like the words you use. It's a lack of awareness, and then you learn, and then you care. But what of people, including me, that have thought the problem is so big? What can one person probably do? What can I do? I mean, I'm in Hailing Island at the moment, in a nice environment, and of course it makes sense. This is the human unawareness, because it makes sense. If we don't look after our environment, there won't be an environment dirt for us to live in, and hopefully we're waking up to that pretty fast. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. And it really is. I mean, it is accountability, really doing your bit for making sure that the plastics don't end up in the sea, using recyclable products. I mean, this is the whole thing, that the conversation and the dialogue becomes greater. You get involved. Once you really take responsibility for your own actions, then you start to learn about, okay, what else can I do? And it's not a question of just throwing your hands up and taking yourself away from the table. Things like palm oil, it's not just a question of just boycotting it. It's demanding sustainability and holding these people accountable so that we can work in a sustainable manner.
Remind me why palm oil is bad news. I have heard this before, but just remind me.
Wow, that's amazing that you say that. But yes, palm oil is bad, obviously, because we are cutting down virgin.
I'm terribly out of touch, but I again, for the typical person like me, you're thinking, oh my God, how can he not know that? And rightly so. And I kind of do, but I'm really interested to get some more meat on the bone. So it's unsustainable.
Well, that's wonderful. If I can help and educate, raise awareness, I mean, that's what I really want to do with the presenting side of things anyways. But, we are cutting palm oil is, so vast over, especially in Asia. So and I was working in Borneo, it's taking over huge swathes of land. We're cutting down virgin rainforest for more and more to be planted, because it has such a high yield. And you can't blame these countries, because it's because of the Western demand for this product that they are growing more and more and more. But what we can do is demand sustainability. So by reusing land and not cutting down more rainforest, which we will never get back, it's about that. So looking on your products for sustainable palm oil, for plantations that do reuse their land. So those things are important. So looking for sustainability in your products, which are in peanut butter, things that we use every single day. There's so many things that I haven't got time to go through how many things we've got palm oil in, but it really is a question of now just demanding sustainability, of buying the products that have that.
It comes down to responsibility. It's like you say, it comes down to responsibility.
Well, yeah, and that's why I'm saying it has to be everybody's problem. It has, but if we can, and by once you know one thing, then hopefully
like
that
it or
will...
not.
I lost you for a minute there.
It's okay. We can hear you. Carry on. It's everybody's problem.
Yeah. So
everybody's problem.
That's basically what I'm saying is the fact that it isn't just one person's. To give them the money, they'll sort it out, because they're not going to. We all have to bond together and really, and like you were saying earlier, I know about the issue, but I just want to learn a bit more. Or the kids that we took to Borneo from America, I mean, they had no idea what an orangutan was, and that's the kind of thing that we really are dealing with that, and that's why we really are letting down the next generation, and we've got to really address this issue.
You as well is really inspiring a love of these things, because if you care about something, you learn about it, and if you love it, you care about it. So in engendering a natural, organic, if you like, love for the planet, and these things, if everyone had that and that awareness, you wouldn't need TV channels to we wouldn't need to put in the extreme measures now. We in the best way, it would just all unfold organically with awareness. But until that awareness is in place, it won't. And it's right, because like so many people, I've been aware of that. I mean, I try and behave myself on plastics. Yes, I do recycle. I use green energy when I can. You know what I mean? I don't drive a diesel car, all that kind of stuff, which are little things. I don't eat that much meat, blah, blah, blah. I'm very aware of the deforestation. And I must admit, I didn't know it was because of palm oil. Particularly, I did know that they're breeding cows so we can eat them and cutting down rainforest to do so. You know,
I think it's a balance. You know, I really do believe the solution lies in balance. I mean, you know, if we stopped doing one thing altogether, all of a sudden, I think it would have massive consequences and go the other way. I mean, there's already lots of different issues that you know, all the people wanting to suddenly become vegan or vegetarian, and then the demand for soya goes up, and of course then you're going to have to increase the yields, and then you use more pesticides to create more soy. So it's more about a balance, and then the awareness comes from trying to strike that balance. So if you have meat, instead of 5 times a week, you have it twice a week, and then, you know, hopefully by doing that you come to some sort of equilibrium, and, you know, everything will have a reaction. So if they're using more pesticides, they've had birth defects in various countries because of that, because they're trying to generate more soy. So it is a balance, and that's the hard thing. But awareness of the balance is, or trying to make yourself have a balance is like I say, everybody's problem, and everyone needs to try and address that.
But it can be done, I'm getting, from doing relatively small things. Cut down on meat by 50%. Be aware.
Things like that. You know, we need 250 million people doing things imperfectly rather than 5 people doing it perfectly, and that will make a big difference.
So what's one thing, someone listening to this show, one thing you said, if one thing was done and we all did it together, it would make a massive impact, and that would be what? Pick one.
Well, I think demand sustainability, because in the world we live in with massive populations and growing populations, and we can use already logged land. We don't need to cut down more. We just have to demand sustainability in whatever we do, whether it's fish farming, palm oil. Sustainability, what counts.
You say about not using land. Who would give permission, if you like, to cut down the rainforest? Who runs it?
Well, government bodies. You know, they're looking after their population in Malaysia and Borneo. You know, that's how they make their livelihoods, and so the governments are selling out but for their own people. But it's a double-edged sword.
It is, and I can understand why they would do it. I've seen documentaries about, you know, they it's terrible, but the cocaine farmers, and they're saying, we don't want to sell drugs. We're just doing it because we're dirt poor, and there is no other way. So we've got to find solutions all the way around. And I don't condone cocaine, but I understand why they're doing it. If that's the only thing you can do to survive on a daily basis, I don't think that's above any of us. Do you know what I mean? If it's the only thing.
Absolutely. And it's just, you know, as far as the wildlife is concerned, you know, that it just, everything has a knock-on effect, you know, with the fragmentation, the deforestation, the elephants, the pygmy elephants in Borneo can't get from one area to another, and then they come into conflict with humans, and then the humans take the law into their own hands and start poisoning the elephants because they're pests, or they've been violent because, you know, they're frustrated with being caught in this palm oil plantation. So it just has these knock-on effects, which, you know, instead of then killing the animals, we have to work with the people and try and find non-lethal ways of dealing with these, get the wildlife out of the plantation, translocate it, and take it miles away from the people, where hopefully, you know, it won't bother them again.
The planet was originally built for sustainability. It's humans that are out of balance. I'd say the planet is out of balance because of the humans, but if you like, the natural laws, if I may, that govern the planet are perfectly balanced. It's like saying the laws of the universe. It's all balanced. One of which is balance, you know, yin yang, all that. So it's us. You're right. It's us that are. Deep question. What human beings? What need are human beings trying to fulfill? What are we doing? So what are we? Why are we doing what we're doing? Because we think there's no other way. Because we've got to get ours before anyone gets theirs. Because we're competitive. Because we don't believe there's enough. But surely the planet was set up so there is enough. And as long as you leave nature alone, pretty much, you know, the elephants were doing fine before we interfered, probably.
Well, it's the greed. It's the greed of the greenback, I'm afraid. I think that's the driving force. I mean, we do it, like you say, get yours before someone else gets it. The competitive nature of humans, the survival of the fittest, you know, all those things that do drive the species in itself. But, you know, it's the money that really people are running after, because they want to make, they make ends meet. That's the kind of society that we've driven and we've created for ourselves. And yes, it would be a balance if we were in nature, having to be out there foraging and foraging. You know, we wouldn't have a massively successful birth rate like in days gone by, you know, without the evolution of medication and healthcare and all those things die in childbirth.
All very well. Some people would say that's I don't, but some people will go, well, that's all very well, but how would anything get done? And they do have a point, but it's a balance, like you say. There's got to be a way. It must be possible for human beings to live sustainably in this planet and make loads of money. I mean, surely money can be used to conserve things. Money isn't bad in and of itself. I've got no problem with money. It's what people do to get it that can cause the problems, right?
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. And people will do anything. They're prepared to go to any lengths for that, whatever makes them more comfortable. I mean, I think that, you know, essentially that's what it would be. Everyone really looking retrospectively inside or introspectively, I mean, and then say, you know, do I need this? Do I need that? And would it make a huge difference if I didn't have X amount every year? You know, there's all those things, the concessions that people would have to make. It's just that people aren't prepared to make concessions, are they?
Or they think they can't live without them. But I suppose when people, if ultimately everyone's seeking to be happy, and this is the interesting thing, this goes full circle beautifully with what you're talking about. Happiness comes, we talk about this a lot on the show, and we talk about mental health, from doing what you're doing. That's why I asked you to break it down: the determination, the following your passions, the being true to yourself, the listening to that inner voice that won't let you down. You know, it's not going to give you a bum steer, if you know.
No, but it's hard at times. I think surrendering to that philosophy is the hardest thing to do. You know, things happen, especially in the entertainment business. You know, it gets quiet, the phone stops ringing, and you panic. But you ultimately, or I can only speak for myself, I just have to keep pushing along the road that I believe that I'm meant to tread, because that's what's inside me that's telling me this is what you have to do, this is what you want to do, and you have to find your purpose within that. And the presenting of the wildlife stuff has just come full circle through being a stuntman and then into different realms of and then here I am. I feel like I have a purpose and I want the bigger platform to create that purpose, and that's what drives me forward.
First of all, what platform is it on at the moment?
Well, we're still in the formative stages of it. I mean, I've made a few episodes already. For a second.
Just getting good again. It's true though, isn't it? It really is true, and I find it difficult to use Nicholas's words, surrender to the inner voice. It's not there. It's just that the louder voices of go, action, do more now. But as we've discussed on this show regularly, and that leads to burnout, which is not fun. So I was just saying it can be difficult to surrender to that inner voice. I know it's there, I was just saying, but the voices of the ego, if you like, scream louder. No, go, do. And it's not a healthy voice to listen to. I was asking you where people can find the TV channel. What platform were you on at the moment, so people can go and watch this show?
Well, as I said, we're still making it. We're still continuing to go down. I have a streaming platform that does want to use it, but what I'd love is a real a network to take it so that we can create more and on a bigger platform. But I will let you know as soon as it's ready for people to see.
or any of the big guys?
But you can always, there's lots of my videos on my YouTube channel, Nicholas Danes, and Instagram as well. Lots of stunt stuff on there with all the big movies and things on Instagram, Nicholas Danes.
Yeah, it's so exciting. So it's nicholasdanes.com where people can find out everything about
That's
you.
the website, or Nicholas Danes in Instagram and YouTube.
Now you do have a taste for the finer things in life. Wine, I notice on the website as well. Wine, I mean, you kept that one. I want to bring that in though. A wine connoisseur.
Well, I do love my wine, and again, it's just what I am passionate about, and that's what I do, and that's what makes sense to me. So yes, I wanted to. I love the fact that, you know, I've written a show that hopefully I'm pitching tomorrow to Channel 5, which is basically, you know, making wine accessible and combining that with the talents that I have, with the adventure of these places where the vineyards are.
Where's the best vineyards, do you think, for the best bottle of wine?
Well, I love South African wine,
Right.
and I love Stellenbosch, Paarl, Franschhoek. The wine is just so full-bodied, and that's what I love, and rich to have with so many different things.
It's and this is a red wine we're talking about, presumably.
Yeah, red. I'm a huge red wine drinker, but they're white wine also. I love the New World wines, very lovely. I'm more of a red wine drinker, but also it's the adventure of the place as well. I think, you know, it's like when you open that bottle of wine and you get the aromas and everything, it just takes you back, and all the amazing things that you can do there: shark diving, bungee jumping, jungles, safaris. Yeah, there's the whole place.
It sounds such an exciting experience, and we talk about this a lot on the show as well, of things that trigger, but in a positive way. You could probably smell any wine from around the world and probably tell us where it's from, and then your mind would be bringing back all those wonderful places of the bungee jumping and the excitement and the adventure. I mean, you almost virtually don't need to leave your house to have that experience, because of your experience recall.
And that's what I love about wine. Yes, that's what I love about wine. The olfactory senses that kick in, and you really are reliving.
Olfactory apparently is the most powerful, with visual and sound and feel, kinesthetic. There's an interpretation before it goes to the brain. Then there's an interpretation. Olfactory, there's not. It just goes straight there, bang. It's direct. No interpretive process. Apparently, I learned.
And
So,
it's interesting you mentioned feel as well, because I do everything by feel, like we were saying, just listening to yourself and feeling your way through life. I do it when I shop. I shop by feels. So if the material is right, I'll look at the item. But if it isn't, if it doesn't have that initial feel and touch, then I wouldn't go near it anyway. It's so fair.
but that's a good thing. It's you're kinesthetic. If we were talking NLP speak, you would be kinesthetic. Most people are visual. The majority of them. Second, the most amount of people are auditory. And then in the third category, less. I don't mean lesser people. Not that they're less than, but less people are kinesthetic. But a lot of people do that, and but to be in touch with that sense, in that kinesthetic sense, that will play into self-care. That will play into mental health and all of those things. And I might add sustainability.
Yeah, yes. But I am like things like, you know, there's just something like in listening to that innate thing that's inside you, that you know, the feel of life, basically, like drugs. You know, I've never been near a drug in my life. I know you were mentioning cocaine, and I know it has a lot to do with being fit, healthy, and sporty. But listen, I jump off buildings, set myself on fire, avoid stories of gunfire. I would do anything, but I have no desire to go anywhere near like Class A drugs or for that experience, because I'm very happy being present. And drugs are all, that's right. Drugs are all about escapism, and that's what I do like about myself. If there's anything, is I like who I am, and I like being present. I don't need to escape, even if it's for a few minutes, and just feel like this artificial.
There we go. If you ever need that we read about, there it is. Sorry, we lost you. We lost you for a little second there. This is
I
such
was rambling.
such a valuable
Yeah,
interview.
this is a weird interview.
I do have some waiting. Somebody waiting backstage to jump in if we need. So I'm just going to see if we can get this back.
I can hear you, but it's intermittent.
I just want to apologise for that. We have run very successfully off Wi-Fi before. I'm going to be sending Andrew an email. What a fascinating Nicholas. Oh God, now I'm going completely crazy. Yeah, he's had to go. So I'm really, really sorry about that. It is a fantastic show. It's fantastic what he's doing, and I've learned an awful lot from the interview. So here's the plan. What I'm going to do, I'm going to send him an email and apologise, and hopefully get him back on the show when we do have Wi-Fi and we can have that conversation properly, because it is important. It just encapsulates everything that we always talk about on this show, doesn't it? Being true to yourself, being in the moment, following what makes you happy, being determined, caring for your mental health, and by extension of that, with your passions, bring those passions out into the world, keep pushing on, make people aware. What a self-aware guy. And he was talking about drugs and escapism as well, and I can understand why he would never, someone like that would never need to take drugs, because they get perfectly high on life, and that's a pretty aspirational and inspirational thing. It really is, isn't it? So I thank you very much indeed for tuning in today. I'm going to end the show now, because I've now got to apologise to Russ as well for this one, but thank you so much for tuning in. It's really, really appreciated. We will see you Wednesday. Liz Saul is going to be hosting on Wednesday with a proper internet connection, and she's got a couple of fantastic guests. And yes, I promise you, Russ and the lot, and you can heckle me and tell him what happened on Monday. He'll be here Friday with Phil Dave and Jonathan Baz, the full people. So thank you very much indeed for tuning in. Chantal Rickards, screen